All right, let's go.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Hello, everybody, to Before the Valley. Once again, my name is Nikolai Papazov, and I'm here with the other co-host of the show, Peter Petrov.
Hey.
And today we're going to be introducing two very interesting concepts. One of them is related to the business side of things, entrepreneurship. And with it, we wanted to show you what the podcast is going to be about. We're going to be discussing the lean startup technology. And on the other side, we're going to be discussing books, how we choose books and what books do we read, which is something that you wanted us to do. So without further ado, I suggest that we start this podcast. And yeah, Peter, because you've been quite silent for now, do you want to introduce the first topic?
Yeah, sure. So the first topic comes from a book called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. Here it is. So why was it so important for our own adventure? So I think you read it, 8 months ago, maybe last summer?
Yeah, it was it was around this time actually, so it's around 1 year
Almost
ago.
1 year ago.
I remember that we just finished exams and I need to improve myself. So I started reading this book. So because I saw many reviews of it of being like the Bible of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And so why are we discussing this book?
So first I want to share that after you read that book, I saw an immediate change in your approach towards our business. So that's
Really?
yeah, definitely. And I think I learned a lot from you after you read the book, because I didn't read it. I just started reading it. I'm on the 15th page, but all the principles in the book, I think you taught it to me while we were building our business. So I think that's just one example of how important it is, and it just changes your approach to business. So what it did is, this guy Eric Ries, after he started his company, he basically developed this approach and decided that he can teach other people how to do the same. And he thought that in the uncertain world that we currently live in, we live in an extreme uncertainty, which is quite different from, let's say, a century ago.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. You need to validate your hypothesis, and that's how you progress as a company. He revolutionized the way companies are built. After reading this book, your focus on what's important, it will definitely switch from the vanity metrics, such as, let's say, revenue, to what's actually important for you to succeed in the long term. So that's why we thought we can speak a bit about this book and just show you a few examples of what progress is in a startup and what's the main argument of the book.
So I think that it's going to be useful for the audience for us to share a bit of the story of the author and how he managed to reach this conclusion. So do you want to share it?
Yeah, sure. So this guy, his first business was actually something as a forum / social media for employees and employers. So it's a bit like LinkedIn, but not exactly. However, he failed with this. And then he decided to start this new company with a few of his, I guess, friends who were also failed entrepreneurs. And because they were all failed entrepreneurs, they thought, okay, we can probably do it in a different way. So they changed their approach completely and decided to release a product that is full of bugs, full of issues and problems to the market, and see how people react, and then adjust their strategy depending on how people reacted. So they released this buggy product. Even the guy saying, like, I thought this might change my life. I might be in the newspapers as a scammer or something, or someone who promises something, but later when people try the product, they see it's something completely different because of all the bugs in the product they released. However, what they realized is that people didn't even purchase the product. They didn't even download it. So they started collecting feedback, having interviews with their clients and finding out what the actual issue was, the biggest issue. So they then changed their product and their strategy. They kept their vision, but they changed their strategy completely. And that's when the product actually blew up. The company was making much more money. And briefly, I just want to mention just shortly about the company. The company is an instant messaging platform where you create your 3D avatar. So it's a bit like a game. You create your avatar. It's like Second Life. So the company is called Instant Messaging Virtual Universe or something like this.
Very, very straightforward.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, that's the story of how the author found this new approach.
So just to summarize, long story short, based on what you said, because I read this book 1 year ago, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I remember everything from it. So he failed as an entrepreneur. He started a new project for which he wanted to launch it faster. Like he didn't want to fix all the bugs and stuff. He launched it, and he saw that the issue is not the bugs initially, but rather the fact that the idea it's not something that people like. So afterwards, collecting feedback, he changed the initial idea and made something which people liked, and this led to his business doing better.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it.
All right.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that this approach can be applied to all kinds of businesses currently because of the extreme uncertainty that I mentioned before that. And maybe you have some examples, I think, because you read it first and then, as I said, you changed your approach completely. So can you share the implications from the book?
Yeah, I mean, I remember that my approach changed and that I was referring to the book. I was like, no, wait, we shouldn't do it this way, because I remember that initially we wanted to make every single product that we launch from our company like the best. We wanted to fix every single bug, and this was leading to delays.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, I remember that this summer, which last year, we were planning to do like a software about measuring the performance of the company and like measuring what users use. We were thinking a lot about it, but eventually the core idea behind this project was, wait, we can test with a simple version, which is what led to us launching it faster. I think this is the project which I remember that I started implementing the theory from the Lean Startup on.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, we wanted to put so we are currently working on a third-party platform, so we wanted to move stuff to the website, and that was gonna take quite a bit of time, if you remember. So we were just like, wait, should we do this? Like, if you think about it, do people actually want this? So what we did first is just look at how much people were using the tools we have on the third-party platform, and then realize, okay, maybe it's not a good idea to invest into moving stuff to the website.
Because I remember now, because like something important that people like don't know what our business is. You mentioned it last time, but I think that's giving some context. We're basically we built a platform about people that want to build their Instagram accounts, and we provide some tools.
Yeah.
So with collaboration and all these tools, people eventually grow.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the idea. This is the business that we have. And something important, which I'm thinking now, is that this book made us realize that we can learn most of this stuff without putting the extra effort. Like there is at some point when the returns become diminishing and you have what you need to, therefore there is no point to put more effort into it rather than launching it and afterwards following, like measuring what the results are.
Yeah. So what would you say the main idea with this is? What's the goal of doing it this way?
The goal is to learn, because as we were discussing before this podcast, like what is going to be the topic of it, I asked you several times, what do you want the topic to be? And you said that you want it to be that in such times of uncertainty, the best thing that you can do is learn, and especially in startups where like it's very dynamic. And something interesting here I'm thinking now is that many founders or like people that have ideas, they think that the initial like launch should be the best.
Yes.
Wow, how many launches do you remember of all these big companies? Like, do you remember when Facebook started or Airbnb or any of these? Exactly. So therefore, it becomes quite irrelevant.
Do you know why that happens? I think it's because people see these companies like, let's say, BMW are announcing their new car model. And it's like a big thing. It would have like a show. Tesla, the Cybertruck. Let's have a whole, show. Then we're gonna
your dream car.
Yeah, my dream car. Yeah, exactly. And I think people are misled by this and think, okay, if I start a startup, then I need to have this as well. But these are already companies that already kind of know their market. It's still a huge risk, but they're bringing the eyes on this one product. While in your case, it doesn't matter because no one knows who you are initially. So it's better to learn and release an unfinished product than create the perfect product and then try to make a huge announcement out of it.
And especially relevant, I would say, in terms of our current idea that we're trying to develop, because we have two options. One of them is to invest heavily time, money, capital, and effort into building an application and then test it.
Yeah.
The other way is to find a smart way, investing, like in our case, $50 or $60, something like this. Think of a smart way to test the idea, and then based on the feedback to start building your application, because otherwise you might build something that people don't want, which is what it was the case of the author of the Lean Startup.
Can you be more specific with this? I think it would be interesting for people to hear our approach with our second startup now.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting as well because it's following our experience from the first startup or first business, where we were, as I said, trying to make the perfect product out of every single product, especially when we're launching.
Yeah.
Now, what we want is proof of concept. Right?
Exactly.
I would say this is the main idea. We want to prove that what we have in mind is actually what everybody who might use the app would want it, or like to even take a step back, that these people would actually want something that we think that they might want. So like the hypothesis is this is the clear hypothesis.
Yeah. People
would want to use an application where they're going to go to restaurants or whatever venues, post a photo, and then get a discount, like some reward.
Yeah.
This is the idea that we have in mind. And on the other hand, that restaurants would look for this authenticity, or that such campaigns would be providing better results.
Yes, exactly.
And we want to test it by investing $60, as I said, I think, and trying to come up with a very simple test, which would just show us the behavior of the customers or initial users.
Yeah, so to be more precise, we are going to do it manually, we were thinking. So we have a prototype, which means there are no functionalities on the actual application. And we're probably going to like stop people and ask them to use the app and see if the incentive we provide is big enough for them to actually share a picture on social media and then get the discount. And then if that is successful, we're going to build an actual product, which we're going to launch. And even the actual product, our approach on that is also very lean, because what we were thinking is we're going to build an app with basic functionalities, see how it performs, and then try to improve on it. So it might have bugs. It might lack a lot of functionalities that we want to include. So that's what, I think it's important to mention that concept. That's what the book calls an MVP. An MVP is a minimum viable product that you just test with. That's all it is. You just test with this thing.
It's something that you cannot scale, right? It's just basic functionality.
Exactly.
Basic main idea.
Yeah, so you don't try to scale anything with it. You just test with a group of people, then improve without too big of an investment. Exactly.
Yeah. And just to show how, because I think that our approach changed mainly because of the book.
Yes.
And what I was telling to you all the time, because you said that my approach changed. And now I remember that it actually did, because I was referring constantly to it. And something interesting is that now, in our current business, we wanted our team to read this book or to listen to it. And the main concept which Heshao, one of our teammates, shared is that the main idea of the book is you have an idea, you build a simple product, you measure how people react to it, and afterwards you either pivot or persevere.
Yeah.
And here pivot means like to change your approach, like either to focus on other customers or to change your product itself. But this is the main concept of the book. And something that I read yesterday, it's not very business related, but it's coming from Tim Ferriss. We mentioned him last time, very big podcast name. He said that sometimes he thinks about stuff in a way, what if this was simple?
Yeah.
What if I had much less time to do it? What would I do? Like, would I focus on specific things, or I would just delay it as much as I'm planning to do now? Which is kind of the same idea as the Lean Startup. If you change your attitude towards what you have to do and focus on the key ideas, you eventually are going to get the most important answers. which is
Yeah,
what you need.
it's Pareto all over again, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna start ranting about Pareto again like last time, but it's
yeah.
Pareto all over again. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask you a leading question, which means it's more of a rhetorical question. Why do you think you might be wrong when launching a product? Because I think in a lot of people's minds, it's like, why would I need to ask my customers? It's very obvious my customers would want this thing, but why would they be wrong?
All right. Before answering, why do you think people think it's obvious that somebody would want your product? Is it ego or what?
I think it's lack of experience, because you simplify the whole process. You think it's much easier and you're looking at it from your perspective, when in fact you're just you yourself are part of you're a user persona, you're part of a target group. However, it might be the case that people in general, or your target group for that specific product, don't think the way you do. And I think that's where the mistake is coming from. People simplify the process and don't look at it objectively. And that's why they make the mistake of going straight for it. So my leading question was leading to assumptions. And what do you want to say about assumptions? Because it's a huge part of the book, and changing your mindset and approach to building a product.
Yeah. So assumptions are something that you test by launching something simple, right? You have an assumption, you have a hypothesis that X product is good for society, that this product is gonna be used by many people, which is what you want to test.
Exactly.
If you don't test this assumption by investing less time into it and not, wasting all your capital into something that you don't know, even if it's gonna be used by people, you are wasting your time.
Yeah, exactly.
And very important thing here is that I think when it comes to testing assumptions, it's about getting this feedback. So you try to have, like with the lean startup concept, you have to try to have a very, very short feedback loop.
Yeah.
Which means that you learn something, you get the feedback, you improve it. You learn something, you get the feedback, you improve it. But here, important thing is that this feedback must be very objective, because sometimes customers don't know what they want.
Yeah. So
which leads us to a completely different topic, but you have to be very critical about what your customers or potential users tell you, right?
One of the first things he mentions in the 50 pages when he gets his point across is so asking people if they want something is not the same as asking them what they want, because people usually don't know if they want something. So that's why you don't ask them, would you like this? Or, okay, if you had let's say an instant messaging platform, how would you create it? You're not gonna ask this, because the user don't know what exactly he wants. But instead, you build something simple and you share it with the user. So that's the point of why wouldn't you go straight ahead and ask the person what he wants? Because you need something to show him. So the data you get is actually accurate.
Yeah. So you're kind of, instead of basing your actions on assumptions from customers, you kind of show them, okay, here it is, use it, see how it works. What do you think about it? Like, do you like it? What are the things that you would improve in such an application? And this is the things. These are the things that don't scale. You going to customers asking for feedback. It's not something that can scale. If you have 1 million customers, you cannot go to each of them personally and ask them, okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Therefore, it's what you can do while you're still small.
To be fair, I think you can. I think that's what you do with innovation. You usually use smaller groups, that's true. You would never ask your whole clientele. But I think the doesn't scale bit is more about the execution of the actual product and how it works. For example, doing it manually, then for the feedback. Because the feedback process remains pretty much, from what I assume now, is pretty much the same from start to scaling up. You're always using a small group of people, which represents a bigger group of people, and you ask them questions. But
then your end result would be less accurate, don't you think? Because yes, once again, you can reach this 90th percentile of accuracy and stuff, but
even if you're just starting or you have a massive company, it's always, you're gonna have some uncertainty. That's the scientific method. There's always uncertainty. and it's the case.
Like when you said manually, I think that's a good example when it comes to lean startups. It's something that we introduced in the current business that we have. It's the way we were introducing people. You remember that we were doing it manually.
Right, that's true.
Like somebody was purchasing the product, the service, and we were texting them. So we didn't have any idea of how we should do it. So we were learning step by step, and it was half a year like after we started that we started thinking about, okay, we cannot keep doing this. We should introduce an automation, like a program which is going to introduce people. And as far as I remember, we literally duplicated our manual approach.
Because you build your manual approach by talking to a lot of people and you see what's of interest to them usually. So that's how you collect the feedback. What do people need with introduction? What information do they need? And then once you know what exactly they need, you create the automation and invest the money. And I just want to mention on the same topic of feedback loops and collecting feedback. So we created the first episode of this podcast in about a week. And the first thing we did is collect feedback. And now we're creating the second episode based on the feedback that we collected. So the first episode, I would say it definitely wasn't the perfect episode. It was an episode with a lot of bugs, so to speak.
Yes. And something, sorry for interrupting.
Of course.
We launched it without thinking too much about it. Too much, like we just had an idea of what we want to discuss. We had an idea of what the podcast can be, main topics. And we said, all right, let's go for it. This is what we're going to speak about. Is this the best topic? We don't know. We're going to collect feedback from people. And we launched it. The other option would have been to launch it in several months when we have all this information, like discussions and stuff.
The perfect structure.
But such a thing does not exist. And we could have done this and started discussing topics which nobody likes.
Yeah. Do you remember last podcast I told you it's a startup in a way? So this is a startup. A startup is an institution creating a product in extreme uncertainty. So the product in this case is this video. The uncertainty is here. So I don't see why you wouldn't call it a startup.
You can implement the same tactics when it comes to making it better, which is,
I think you can implement this in anything. You can even implement it in your personal life when there's uncertainty. If there's uncertainty, you need to build something small, empirical testing, and then make the conclusions.
And just to go back to the whole thing is that you should not make the perfect structure. This doesn't exist, and launching it initially is not something that people are going to remember. If afterwards you improve and you make something good, this is what people will focus on. Not, do you remember this Facebook company? They were so buggy initially, like, I'm not going to use it. No, that's not how it works. People found value in it and they use it.
Facebook and that bloody bug with the messages. I'm not using it.
I cannot find my friends.
No. 3 years later, I'm not using it. Yeah, that never happens. And
actually, like Mark Zuckerberg, they started pretty small. They started in universities instead of trying to think, how can we scale this? Can we make it very big? No, they started small, learning, and look what we have now.
Yeah, definitely. So, Eric Ries, the lean startup. I think.
So this is probably the most booky startup video. I know how to call it.
Book related.
Like we discussed the lean startup now. Very important concept from it. How to launch fast, learn and improve and make something good. And now we're gonna, like, what we planned is to go into telling you how we choose our books, how we choose the lean startup to read it, what's our approach, and afterwards to share several books that we think you might like. Do you want to go first? Because I think that currently you 1 or 2 weeks ago you purchased 10 books or something like this. So you had a lot to think about. So
I'm gonna tell you first what my process of choosing the books was, like briefly again.
What's the process of choosing those 10 books, I would say?
So what I did is first I analyzed what I want to improve to become a better entrepreneur, so to speak. And I thought I like a lot of startup knowledge, definitely. I'm also not the best communicator, I think, when it comes to, especially when it comes to presentations and public speaking. So I wanted to improve that as well. So I kind of categorized ways. In the first thing I had is product management. Second was communication, presentation, persuasion, and the last one was general startup knowledge. So for the product development, I'm taking a course currently to improve that aspect. Then for communication and startup knowledge, what I did is I checked for book recommendations from the people I admire, the most successful people I know of, and what exactly do they think people should read to become good entrepreneurs. After I did that, I went on Amazon, checked the reviews, and how I'm checking the reviews is something you recommended as well, was don't pay too much attention to the 5-star reviews. Like, check what the overall score is, and then check the 3, 4, or 2-star reviews, because the 1-star reviews are probably haters. The 5-star reviews are people who adore the book. So you can get a lot of feedback from 3, 4-star reviews. So I don't ignore the 5-star reviews, but I try to focus a lot on the 3 or 4-star reviews when I'm choosing my books.
Yeah, like I would say that first of all, I learned this from Tim Ferriss once again. I'm mentioning Tim Ferriss so much that like,
he's a genius.
Are you what? Are you a fanboy or what? But yeah, like
definitely.
He said that those reviews in the middle, like 2, 3, 4 stars, are more detailed. Like they're from people who actually read the books most often, and they thought about their reviews. Like, because it's very easy to give a 5-star, or it's very easy to give a 1-star. As you said, it could be a hater or somebody that, I don't know, who is interested in science fiction and then bought a book about how to build a business.
Yeah, and also
so it doesn't fit.
Yeah, if it has any, I would say, macro aspects of it. For example, if there are any recommendations for policy or something like this, it's a instant killer. Like, people would hate it. So I'm thinking of 0 to 1. This is one of the books I'm gonna present. People are just saying, why is he recommending stuff like this? He doesn't know what he's talking about. So I still purchased the book. These were like the 2-star reviews mainly. I still purchased the books because I don't think I'm gonna read it for any like macro recommendations.
Yeah.
So all right. Yeah, let's start. So the first one I wanted to show.
I was thinking that, do you want to go with the books first, or because I can add on. My approach is a bit different when it comes to choosing books.
Yeah, because I thought what we're gonna do is, okay, I can present and then you can do the same.
You can go with the book as well.
Yeah, because you can. Yeah, okay. But anyways, yeah, share what you think on this as well, and then we can continue with the books.
Because I think the people are gonna grasp the better idea when we have it in one place. So my approach is pretty much the same, but I think that it's the active approach of choosing books. So basically, you think of what you want to learn, what you want to improve, and then start looking for books which are related to such topics. So I would say that this is stage 1, but on the other hand, in stage 1, you have the passive approach of, like, you're listening to a podcast, you have a friend, let's say you recommend a book to me, and I have a book reading list, but if you tell to me that this book is amazing and I trust you, I know that we have similar interests, similar views, and that you're going to be critical about it, or I hear about specific books several times in podcast videos and stuff from different people, this is a passive way of me thinking about this book. Okay, this is a good book. Does it fit with what I want to do? Yes, it does. So I'm going to get it. And when it comes to, like, the second stage, which is seeing what people in general think about the book, you mentioned checking Amazon reviews, but something very good which I've tried recently is reading quotes from a book from Goodreads. Like it's a very famous site. I'm pretty sure most of you know it. Actually, I think it's gonna be good if we link most of the stuff that we discuss now in the bio of this video, or those who listen to the Spotify iTunes version can check it, whatever. But reading the quotes from a book is actually showing you what some of the main ideas are, and it's like watching the trailer of a movie and not liking it. If you don't like the quotes, you're probably not gonna like the book.
So would you check the highest rating quotes, or would you have a different approach to this?
I would check the several, like, I don't know. It depends. I will check 5 to 10 quotes.
Because you
from a
can
book.
check them at like randomly, but you can also choose the most famous quotes
Yeah.
from the book. So that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
Is it?
well, when I've tried this strategy, I've done it with the most highest rated ones. But I think that your approach also might give you a more objective view, because you're gonna check not only the quotes that people like, but also those that they don't like that much.
Yeah, it's probably best to do both now thinking about it, because the highest rated would probably present the argument of the book and what like the most valuable aspects of the book, and then you can do it on the random basis as well.
Yeah, so this is my approach. So it's either me looking actively about stuff that I want to learn. Let's say, as you said, communication. I'm going to look for books about communication, or if it's business knowledge, I'm going to look for that, and afterwards review them based on Amazon and Goodreads, like the quotes. And the other way is, if I hear about specific books several times from people that I follow, that I learn from, I would start considering purchasing this book, as it's kind of like showing me, hey, you haven't seen this book. It's very good. I've read it, so you should read it as well if you're thinking that you want to become, better.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
It's good we are recommending books then, because people might do the same and listen to us and then go ahead.
Well, based on our books, you can judge if you're the kind of people that you want to follow, right?
Yeah.
All right, so apologies for interrupting you, because I saw that you're pretty into showing your first book. So, what's your first book?
It's fantastic. My first book is
which one is
it's incredible. Of course, right? Of course.
Who's the author?
I'm not saying who's the author, because people will actually think I'm fanboying at this point. So, okay. So the book is The 4-Hour Workweek. It's by Timothy Ferriss, or also known as Tim Ferriss, who we are mentioning a few times now.
Yeah.
But who made me purchase the book? It's a YouTuber who's called I need to check that. It's Ali Abdaal. He's an entrepreneur as well. He graduated medicine from Cambridge, and he has like a business as well. So I was like, how is this person doing academy with entrepreneurship? I was very interested, and just check his channel and
especially medicine, like it's something.
Exactly. It's like medicine and entrepreneurship is like wow. So I was checking his videos, and Ali Abdaal, to repeat his name again. And I was checking his videos, and one of his videos was a recommendation of 3 books. The first book he recommended is The 4-Hour Workweek, and now I understand how he is able to combine so many things.
Well, it's a book that I haven't read.
You have to read it.
Yeah, I have it here actually. It's something that my brother gave to me, but as far as I can see, he read only 95 pages from it. But I was like, all right, free real estate. I'm getting this book. You don't want it. So it's a book which is on my read list. But you, as a person who read it, why do you think it's a good book?
It's a good book because it teaches you a different way of looking at life, and with that new way of looking at life, it also teaches you how to be as productive as possible by eliminating waste. That's why I'm so obsessed with Pareto's law. It's coming from this book.
So I think that he's mentioned it quite a lot in it, right?
Yeah, it's the one of the basic concepts of the book is the Pareto law. It's just like eliminating all the waste and then being able to do the same amount of work with a lot less time. That's why it's called the 4-Hour Workweek as well. And it's not about working less. It's about exactly being more efficient and reducing work, your main work, so to speak, so much that you can focus on other things that you want to work on. So, for example, this guy Tim Ferriss, I think he's a world champion in Taekwondo. I'm not sure if that's what he is. It was a fighting sport, and then he's also world champion in dancing. And it's just so diverse that you can't even And the book is very useful, very practical. One of the most practical books I've read. Every single page is a practical page. If you can't apply it, he wouldn't include it in the book, and it's very useful.
So it's kind of a how-to book.
It's a how to liberate yourself from the 9 to 5 and That sounds so cliche, but that's what it is. Liberate yourself from the 9 to 5 schedule by eliminating the waste, and then filling in the rest of your time with what you actually want to do or the ideas you want to work with. So that's my first book. Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Workweek.
Just to mention something interesting about him, because yes, I would describe myself as a fanboy of Tim Ferriss. I'm listening to his podcasts all the time. As you like, it's a very famous book. I'm pretty sure that many of the people that listen to us now would know who Tim Ferriss is based on the book. But he was suffering from depression and stuff because he was very harsh on himself. He was working a lot. Which led him to rethink his lifestyle and what you just said of getting into that 4-hour work week.
Yeah, I think it was so impactful for me because I associate with him in a way. And also a lot of the tips he's giving, we applied in our company just by learning through experience. So like seeing how we applied some of the things, I'm just like, yeah, that makes so much sense now.
It makes totally sense.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So what's your first book recommendation and why?
I think that, I was expecting you to jump into your second book because you were very, very into it. My first book is actually a book which I have not read, but it's a book which I have purchased after seeing many people recommended it.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have expected it. This is The Effective Executive. Okay. And I find this book that is very, very related to the 4-hour work week and what you just described.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've read many reviews of it because it's been on my books to read list for a long time. The main concept is that instead of managing your time and being efficient, which is what I wanted to go back when I said being efficient, you have to be effective. You have to focus on the right stuff because you can be very efficient. You can be doing stuff very efficiently, but in the end up not doing the right stuff and spending like a lot of time doing the wrong stuff.
So can I ask you, is the book showing you how to differentiate what's important?
Well, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Why I think it's doing it is because the main idea is that effectiveness can be learned.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's something that it's giving advice about, but it's not something that can be taught. That's the interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you can learn by experiencing and doing stuff.
I see.
And you're going to be getting many stuff wrong. Like you're going to be getting many, concepts or actions wrong, which are not going to be very effective. But by doing so, you're going to be learning. So this is the main idea. And I got some notes here. Like, it's described as a gold mine on the web by many people that are in business. So it's kind of, once again, we discussed the Lean Startup as the Bible for entrepreneurs. This one is the Bible about executives or people that are doing stuff. Because executives is not only, those CEOs, but it's everybody.
Yeah. I understand. But it's a quite good recommendation. Tim Ferriss recommends it as well, by the way.
Yeah. It's
so it's on my list as well. That's what I'm saying.
It's a book which, in several podcasts, it's a pretty short one. It's 140 pages, so like it's an easy read for a week.
It's a good starter then for people that want to get into like business reading. It's probably a good starter.
Yeah,
because it's short. So you can finish it fast.
Exactly, and it's something which I hope that I'll be able to review in our next, one of our next podcasts and give people, okay, I told you this, and it's actually true. Or on the other hand, I could say, this book was not good at all, but
yeah. Sounds good.
Hopefully no.
Sounds good. Okay.
All right. So I think that so these are the books that we have for today, right?
Yeah. No. Yeah, I think
right.
You like this second episode. We try to build on your feedback and be more concise, change our content as well, and also show you what we're gonna be talking about when it comes to business and innovation. So anything you wanna add on this? Do you want to finish with your quote? We thought we could make this we could make this a tradition. Yeah.
Many people said that the quote was amazing and stuff. So this time I told you that let me take care of this. So I prepared a quote from Franklin Roosevelt. Yeah. So I thought it's a quote which relates to both topics. And the quote is, "It is common sense to take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another one. But above all, try something." Which is a quote that describes in few words the lean startup method. If you have an idea, try it. If it fails, improve and try again.
It is
And,
common sense. Yes.
It is common sense,
Yeah.
yes. So this was the second episode of Before the Valley. As Peter said, your feedback is something that we try to consider for it based on the previous one. And we're looking forward to hearing more about what you think about our approach, right?
And also your thoughts on the topics we discussed. Share with us below, and we'll be happy to read them and maybe discuss them in future episodes.
Yeah, and for those of you that listen on Spotify or iTunes, you can open our YouTube channel and leave still a comment so that we have more of these.
And also you can follow and subscribe.
All right, let's finish.
Follow and subscribe. Let's finish on this. Please. Okay. End it.